Hello, comic fans. It's AWO Comics back again after taking a 1 week hiatus, coming at you with another top 10 video on Friday night. Will, what do you got to say about that?
Woohoo!
Well, you ought to be well rested after having a week off.
Woohoo!
Literally and
Woohoo!
figuratively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we got a great category this time. We're giving you our top 10 shark covers.
All right.
I like sharks. Do you like sharks?
I love sharks.
My favorite movie is Jaws.
I used to love sharks when I was little. When I would go to the aquarium, I'd be like, "Dad, can I see the sharks?"
Yeah, I remember that. We bought you a stuffed shark. So
I have no idea where that thing is now.
you still sleep with it, you know.
No, I don't. I don't even know where that thing is.
All right, folks. We'll be right back with our top 10 shark covers right after this.
Whoop!
Y'all know me. Know how I earn a living. I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. It's bad fish. Not like going down the pond chasing bluegills or tommycods. This shark, swallow you whole. Shaking, tenderizing, down you go. And we gotta do it quick. That'll bring back the tourists. That'll put all your businesses on a paying basis. But it's not gonna be pleasant. I value my neck a lot more than $3,000, Chief. I'll find him for 3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10. And you gotta make up your minds. You wanna stay alive and ante up? You wanna play it cheap? Be on welfare the whole winter. I don't want no volunteers. I don't want no mates. There's too many captains on this island. $10,000 for me by myself. For that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quint. We'll take it under advisement.
We are back after that awesome new intro.
Yeah,
Made by
dude.
me.
I love that new intro. It is awesome.
Yeah.
You're a master at the
I'm the
intro.
man, ain't I?
Yeah, you're the master of the
You heard that,
intros.
folks. He said
Master of the intros.
Well, anyway, we got our top 10 shark covers this week, Willie Mo. And, you talked about, I believe you said, after I paused the intro there, you asked me, we should have done this during Shark Week. Well, I ain't really sure when Shark Week is, so, we're going to do it.
When
right
is
now.
Shark Week?
We'll just say it's this week. How about that?
All right, Shark Week today, this week. Yeah.
And so, saying it's this week, we're going to talk about in 1974, in February, there was a book released, Will, by Peter Benchley that was called Jaws. And it was, I remember my mother had this book, and I remember reading it when I was young, not really understanding all of it, but I remember reading it, and it's probably a little bit above me because I was only 6 years old at the time, so I probably looked at more pictures than read. But I remember reading parts of it, and just kind of skimming through it. But then and it was an instant bestseller. And then in 1975, in June, I think June 20th, I believe, the movie was released, directed by the famous Steven Spielberg, his first major directorial debut. It was filmed in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, starring Roy Scheider, and name escapes me now. I'm going to kill myself for not being able to remember that. But anyway, I'll put it up on the screen. But my favorite character was Quint. We showed a scene at the first of this featuring Quint. But what that led to, that movie was such a success, it led to Shark Mania. and we started getting all kinds of shark covers and comics because when something sells, comic publishers were not, back in the 70s especially, were not afraid to mimic it, and try to copy it. So a lot of these covers were produced, and you'll look at the dates that we give to them, were produced after Jaws came out, and you had Shark Mania going on, and it's a great film, and these are some really cool covers too.
All right, so I want to go first.
You're going first this time?
Yeah.
All right, well, take off, brother.
Well, my number 5 is Kazar, number 17, came out in 1976, and the cover artist was Rich Buckler. Yeah, I can't even read my own writing. It's so horrible.
I know, I looked at your paper, and I was like, I can't read.
Well, I'm writing on a table, and my arms like cramped like this, and
You should have been a doctor.
I'm writing like a Dr. Doofenshmirtz like this.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's
Too
yours.
lazy to set up right?
It's yours because the end table is so far up the couch.
Okay, it's always my fault.
But continuing on this cover has a Kazar riding a shark. He's like holding on a strap that's hanging off the shark.
He's not riding a shark. No, Alien's riding a shark.
Well, he's technically riding the shark when he's holding on to it and it's going.
He's being carried by the shark, I guess.
Well, anyway.
What's up with these flying sharks, anyway?
I don't know. Just
What's
flying
this, a
sharks.
sci-fi movie?
No, it's Sharknado. But, he's got a knife, and he looks like he's about to jump on these group of people that's down below him. There's another shark off to the side there on the corner. And it's a really cool book, but there's a reason it's number 5 because there's so many other books that's better than it on my list.
No, it's a pretty cool cover. I looked at it, so it's not too bad. All right, well, my number 5 is Weird Wonder Tales number 10. And this one features a shark story that it's just really called The Shark. And it's also cover art by Rich Buckler. And it came out in June of 1976. You notice all the theme here. The Jaws movie's been released about a year. It's a major hit, so you're starting to see all these shark covers come around. And I've not read this story, but I've flipped through it. It's pretty cool looking. I'm definitely going to give it a read, but it's just got a great underwater scene of a shark swimming up on this guy. And the story is titled The Shark. It says bigger than Jaws on the cover, The Shark. You got to read The Shark. So everything's being compared to Jaws back in those days.
All right, that's a neat cover. I saw that one. My number 4 was Skull the Slayer number 6. Came out in 1976. And the cover artists were Mike Esposito and John Buscema. This cover was pretty cool because it's got a shark jumping up to eat. I'm not really familiar with the Skull the Slayer comic series.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's jumping onto Skull, I guess. And he's trying to fight him. And he's like surrounded by sharks. There might be one shark. But he just showed it's a really cool cover of a guy fighting a shark. And it's a really nice cover. And it's on my number 4 for room. And the cover artist was the famous John Buscema.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
The late, great John Buscema. All right. Well, my number 4 is House of Secrets number 145. Came out May of 1977 with Luis Dominguez on the cover art. This cover featured a character called Shark Man, and it shows this guy who looks a lot like Submariner on the cover.
That's a coincidence.
Transforming into a shark. He's diving into the water, and as he's diving in, he's transforming into a shark. And then by the time he hits the water, he's a shark. So I've not read this book either, but the cover is really, really cool. And it's just a pretty neat shark cover. I don't know how cool the story would be. I don't know about a shark man, but we'll give it a read and see. I read a lot of these House of Secrets, so we'll read it one night.
All right. Well, my number 3 is Adventure Comics number 444. Came out in 1976 again. There's a common
Sharkmania.
And the cover artist was Jim Aparo. And I like this book because it's got Aquaman. And you would think Aquaman wouldn't be struggling with a shark, right? Because I don't even know why a shark's trying to eat Aquaman. Because ain't Aquaman's whole point is controlling creatures?
Maybe he was a rogue shark.
Maybe not. Who knows?
He was rebelling against Aquaman.
But it looks like Aquaman was saving somebody,
Yeah.
but that shark was about to come and eat him.
Yeah.
And Aquaman's terrified and he's about to get there. It's really cool cover. And like I said, it's funny, it's ironic because Aquaman can control. It's supposed to be ruler of the sea and control sharks and all that, but that shark's trying to eat him. So.
Well, I saw that cover when I was looking up shark covers, and Jim Aparo was one of my favorite artists. He did a lot of Batman work, especially late in a lot of Brave and Bold titles. Once he got older, his artwork wasn't quite as good, but still a fine artist. Especially on the Batman series, he did some. He reminded me a lot. His early stuff reminded me a lot of Neil Adams, so that's one of the reasons why I like him. But cool cover. All right, well, my number 3 is Ghost Rider number 16. Came out in February of 1976, and this cover has Ghost Rider underwater. I don't really know how his flame is burning underwater, but I guess
it's eternal flame.
I guess if you're a hellspawn, you can burn.
Hey, it's eternal. It's eternal flame, by the way.
But his leg is about to be eaten by a shark, and I think it says something about in the great tradition of Jaws on the cover as well. We own this book. It's a really cool cover. Came out again 1976 in February. Bob Brown and Ed Hannigan on the cover art there. Just a really cool title. And one that I have read, but I don't really remember a whole lot about it. But it is a neat cover, though.
All right. Well, my number 2 is Wiz Comics number 19. Came
Golden
out
Age.
1941. This is about $1,000, by the way.
Ooh.
And the cover artist was C.C. Beck, which is pronounced as Charles Clarence Beck. But not really familiar with that cover artist. But
Yeah.
it's a really cool cover. It's got Shazam on it, and he's got this because the Wiz comics were the first appearance of Shazam, and they were Shazam's personal comic, really.
And he was really known as Captain Marvel back in those days.
Yeah, he wasn't even really Shazam either.
Fawcett Publications, which actually printed Wiz Comics, did not copyright the Captain Marvel name. Marvel took it and created a new hero with it, and then when DC bought the rights out, they kind of changed his name to Shazam more. The comic came out as Shazam, so you got to see her more called as Shazam.
There's so many Captain Marvels, I swear.
Yeah.
It's like,
that was Wiz Comics stupidity, or Fawcett Publications stupidity for not copyrighting that name, because he was one of the most popular Golden Age characters, so that was really stupid.
It's got Shazam on it, and he's got a shark and a chokehold, looks like in his arm. And there's somebody else on the cover. I'm not very sure who it was. I can't put my finger on it.
I remember him and the shark. It's a cool underwater cover. I remember the shark, but I don't remember anybody else.
What's up with all these big time superheroes that can fight pretty much deities fighting sharks for?
Well, it was a simpler time back in those days. And again, this was Jaws Mania, most of these when they came out, so.
Mine is going to be mind-boggling. My number 1's going to be mind-boggling because you would think this is the least person that could have to deal with a shark.
Word to the wise. If you ever invent something or create something that is really, really cool, that you think is going to be really, really cool down the road, get it copyrighted.
Exactly.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be retarded.
All right. So, my number 2 is Phantom number 1, and this is the Wolf Publications of Phantom that came out in July of 1992. And I'll just be honest with you, Will, I didn't know this book existed until I started looking up shark covers, and this is a cool one, as we're putting it on the screen right here. Phantom is actually riding what looks like 2 dolphins or porpoises, or is there a difference between a porpoise and a dolphin?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, he's riding them like jet skis or like water skis, and there's this big giant shark coming up behind him, about to eat him. Really cool book. I believe again, this book is pretty attainable. Came out in July of '92, and Mike Higgs, who I've never heard of, was the cover artist on this, and this is a really cool book, cool cover on this book right here. One I'm gonna try to get my hands on because I like the Phantom, so
yeah,
it's pretty neat.
All right. Well, my number 1 is Action Comics number 456, I believe. Came out in 1975. This was a year before all the other comics did, and the cover artist was Mike Grell, I think is what it is. But yeah, like I just said, you wouldn't think that Superman would have to deal with a shark, but apparently he does have to deal with a shark.
Well, sharks can jump, you know. If he flies too close to the water,
Ain't
it's just
he
like
supposed to be
a
invincible?
dragonfly flying over the lake when a big largemouth bass is out there, man, and come out of that water and grab him. You know?
Ain't he supposed to be invincible?
Well, that's the thing, you know, biting Superman, or the shark biting Superman would probably be like a largemouth bass biting a dadgum lure with hooks in it. It'd be a bad mistake, because once he crunched down on the Man of Steel, his teeth would probably be broken.
Well,
because
like I said,
he's invincible.
He's supposed to be invincible.
Unless he was a shark with kryptonite teeth, you know, then, you know, it could be.
Yeah.
And you don't ever know. Lex Luthor could have created something.
Yeah, probably. All right, well, that's it for my cover.
All right, well, my number one is Spidey Super Stories number 16, and this is a book that I've been trying to get for a long time, but I've just not been able to find one at the right price. Came out in June of 1976 with John Romita Sr., the great John Romita Sr. on the cover art, and this is a direct homage to Jaws. You know, you got Spider-Man swimming across the water. It looks just like the Jaws poster, and you got the big shark coming up and under him, about to eat him. You know, just a really cool cover. I don't think the book has a lot to do with the shark. I've never read this book, but just looking at it, I don't think it has. Just reading some synopses about it, it doesn't look like there's much about a shark involved. But these books are not really based on the great stories that are in them, because they were geared more toward kids. There's really just some cool covers that people like on them, and this one is one of the cool covers to get, especially since it's done by John Romita Sr. So, anyway, that's our top 10. We whipped through it pretty fast,
Yeah.
Willie Mo. Again, we appreciate everybody that's watching. Hated that we did not get a video out last week. We just kind of got busy. Easter weekend, it was just kind of busy. We did get a comic pickup video, and we will have one of those coming up this weekend as well. If you like this content, again, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like, drop a comment. If we missed any shark covers that you guys thought about, drop a comment and tell us about it, and tell us which one is your favorite. We appreciate you commenting and giving us a little info and feedback on our videos. Anyway, we appreciate everybody watching. Willie Mo, you got anything else you want to say?
Nope, I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys probably Sunday afternoon. Have a great weekend. And as always,
Go Dogs.
See you guys.
Ya.